Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Decker Shado, the internet personality who realized all his high-pitched screeching was very annoying. So now you get low-pitched, strange, oh my god, what the hell? I thought I had a yellow dollar sign on this. Suddenly, when it went live, I'm greeted with an ad for, what is this? Jumpcut.com. That's a terrible name. Okay, anyway, welcome to Live and Wired, the internet show about a bunch of people sitting on the couch talking about entertainment media without any expertise in the field. Yeah.
I'm sitting in a rotating chair.
Okay,
courtesy of yes, you're the only one on the couch, and we have rotating chairs courtesy of Thomas Jefferson. So thank you for that, former Mr. President. Anyway, continue.
I was not aware of that, actually.
Yeah, he did actually invent the rotating chair. He actually did a lot of things during his building of Monticello. But we're not here for American history, are we?
No,
I hope not.
We are here for episode 9 of Live and Wired, The Death of a Legend. That legend being Ash Williams, and the death being more metaphorical still, because I don't think the character's actually being killed off. It's just, for all intents and purposes, it's the sad situation that everyone was seeing coming but didn't want to believe.
Yeah.
His show is being canceled. That's what Decker's winding us all up for.
Way to give away, creepy. Way to give it away.
Stars is
if I didn't give it away, he would have been here for another hour, just still winding everyone up.
Touché.
Well, it's entertainment. You got to give people what they pay for, and they pay for time, not content.
That explains so much about what's on your show.
Yeah, we're not here for facts. We're here for opinions.
Yeah, you have the article lined up, Patricia?
I do indeed. So, as we mentioned in a previous episode of Live and Wired, that Bruce Campbell mentioned that if Ash vs. the Evil Dead was ever going to be canceled, he would never become the character again. Well, guess what? The show is going to be canceled. As of tomorrow, April 29th, the last episode of Season 3 will air. So, Ash vs. Evil Dead, has taken audiences on a wild ride for 3 seasons thanks to the fantastic performances and creative efforts of Sam, Bruce, Rob, and the entire cast of crew. We are proud to send this show out with a bang and a splat, says Carmi Zlotnick, president of programming for Stars. And the ironic thing is that it's being canceled due to very low ratings.
Isn't low ratings one of the go-to excuses that networks, use whenever they're going to cancel a show, but they don't want to give the actual reason why? They just, default to saying, "Oh, it was low ratings." Because low ratings can mean anything. Because networks have projected figures for what ratings should look like on a particular show based on focus group testing, demographic appeal, commercials that are being run, and so all these other little nifty tidbits. So if they don't meet those projected figures, then the ratings are technically low. So you can have a show that's getting 1 million viewers every week and the ratings are steady, but because they expected 10 million viewers every week, the ratings are too low to keep the show going.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny because I think I even saw a comparison picture of Ash vs. Evil Dead compared to The Walking Dead, in which you have the first 3 seasons of Ash vs. Evil Dead having a rating on Rotten Tomatoes of 90, and then 89, and then 87. And then with The Walking Dead, you have 91, and then 70-something, and then 70-something, and then going all the way downhill until it reached the 50s around season 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can be thankful that Ash vs. Evil Dead is not running itself into the ground. It does actually have, from what I've heard, really good episodes. So I'm glad that hopefully by tomorrow night it will go off on a high note.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, there's also the fact that I should probably get the entire series on Blu-ray and properly watch and review it. That's another
Hey, TV shows are my business. You just stick to asylum films.
Dang it. See, you got points there, but I don't like them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bad.
I'm still too crazy from LA to think straight. Dang it.
Decker has LA fever.
It's not so much jet lag as just soul draining. Just still recovering. I'm doing a lot better than I was for the last couple of days, but I know I'm still not up to 100%.
Gabriel Torres says, why don't you guys just do a crossover review of the show?
See, that's thinking logically.
Yeah, and you're forgetting, whenever Decker and I do reviews together, there's the problem of A, Decker is the star of the review, and B, everyone hates me.
Well, not everyone, but
a vocal minority hates me.
Torch and pitchfork wielding crowd.
Yeah, there's that.
Mm. But still, nonetheless, I think that'll be a lot of fun. Maybe for like a special occasion. Who knows?
There's that. That's fair.
Aw, and the chat is saying, "Creepy, we don't hate you."
Aw,
that's so sweet.
But yeah, with the hanging up of the chainsaw hand. If I remember right, the way it was worded, what he was saying was not necessarily that he wouldn't do it. It's just the show was pretty much the only way it was being done, and he didn't see it coming up in any other fashion for him to play Ash Williams again. And therefore, if the show was canceled, yeah, that would be it for Ash. And the show was canceled. Does that necessarily mean it's it for Ash? Well, probably, most likely, yes. He's probably saying, the complete truth there is like, well, that's pretty much it now. But technically, if there's a low chance that someone out there says, hey, I'm going to make an Evil Dead movie and I'll pay you $500 million to be in it, he might say yes. There's a chance.
There's that.
Yeah, there is that, true. I mean, Sam Raimi has been talking about wanting to do an Evil Dead 4 for like over 20-something years, so I think maybe he's possibly wanting to do it, but then again, maybe Bruce wants to take a break for the character and just focus on bigger and better things.
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
But yeah, it also is the earliest and fastest Live and Wired poll on Twitter I've ever had.
Yeah.
You've got the Live and Wired poll. Who wore motherfucking chainsaw hands best? Ash Williams, Modified Gigan from Godzilla Final Wars, the TX from Terminator 3, or Chainsaw Lizard from Kamen Rider The Next. We have 30 minutes starting now.
Yes, and as usual, I will be posting up the poll on the chat so you guys can vote.
And that is at Decker Shado on Twitter. Okay, here we go. Now I just gotta put it on
there you go, guys.
Description.
Go nuts.
No, go really nuts. The one thing I was really surprised is that the last poll that we did regarding about the gender-swapped slasher villains was actually pretty popular. There was even a comments talking about like more gender-swapped villains. Like I think I saw one for Leatherface, and I think I saw one for Pinhead and a couple of others. So yeah, that's actually pretty awesome.
Lady Leatherface.
Lady Leatherface. We have a $2 question from Blue Room who says Netflix has Ash versus Evil Dead previous seasons.
Excellent.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that did confuse me because I was like about to put Netflix on the title card, but then I looked up like, wait, is it actually Netflix? And it's like, no, it's a Starz product. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the only reason why my family has Starz is so that mom could watch episodes of Outlander. Yeah, she's obsessed with that show ever since Downton Abbey was finished. My mom is into British things, if you didn't figure that out. But no, yes, and Veronica's mentioned wasn't Pinhead originally a female in the books, and I think that Pinhead was right, or at least one of the
Pinhead, the
versions.
Cenobites, as I remember in the books, I didn't read them, but as I remember, wasn't necessarily female, but wasn't necessarily male. They were so just extremely mutilated in a sadomasochistic pleasure from pain that you really couldn't tell what gender they were anymore.
Yeah, that was the thing. They were described as being largely genderless due to, from basically torture techniques.
Pinhead might have been female.
I think the idea was that Pinhead had started out male, I think maybe originally, and that changed over the centuries, but I guess, I don't know. There could be a female Pinhead. I wouldn't object to that.
In the comics of Hellraiser, they did have eventually Kirsty Cotton. She became a protege of Pinhead and took on that kind of visage. So she was sort of a gender-swapped Pinhead character in the comics.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So I guess in closing thoughts, yes, thank you so much for all of the amazing things you did, Ash Williams. We will never forget your boomstick and your motherfucking chainsaw hand.
Yeah.
And we got a $10 super chat from Zach Smith's Scary Space saying, "Love y'all, can't stay long. Prom night tomorrow. Prom night tonight." I can read chats.
Have fun with the prom night.
Prom right.
Mm-hmm. Good luck on prom night.
Yes, good luck on prom night.
Yeah. Just ask yourself, what would Decker Shadow do? And then do the opposite of that.
I concur. Yeah. I concur.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, anyway, so yeah, sad news out of the way. We got a shit ton of other stuff to talk about because a few days ago, CinemaCon 2018 happened, and from what I read, it's supposedly the final one. And there were a lot of movies that were announced that would be coming out, or more information about movies that we already know about. Should we get the, shocking news about a particular movie out of the way first?
Is that the one that I'm going to spend like 40 minutes ranting on?
Yes. Let's no. Okay, fine. Okay, we'll leave. Yeah, we'll save that one for later. We'll leave that ranting out of the way, and then we'll focus on another one. So the first one that I saw that really caught my attention was that apparently there was announcements that there was going to be a remake of the 1977 Dario Argento movie Suspiria. Now, for those who don't know what Suspiria is, it is a movie about a woman who checks into a ballet school, and it turns out that the students are not really ballerinas. They're actually a coven of witches, and they go incredibly insane, and they start like killing people, and it's like really creepy. Apparently, it's a very well-known Italian horror movie.
And this differs from a regular ballerina school. How?
Well, I mean, if we want to talk about Black Swan, she doesn't go like mentally insane, in which she like apparently transforms into a black swan. I have no idea, but okay. So it says so right here that apparently the remake got, like they apparently saw like the footage of the upcoming remake, and apparently it got people looking away in horror. Every pirouette, she has her gruesome consequences for a dancer in another studio.
It's interesting. Both Dan and A Red Spark are responding very, very badly to this, so they know they'll ruin it. Not Suspiria.
Suspiria.
Suspiria, yeah, I read, I know.
Anyway, so apparently...
I can pronuncificate.
Pronuncificate. I know words. I talk good. The other woman was literally ripped apart, descending into a mess of broken bones, urine, spittle, and blood. The rest of Amazon... Oh, wait, that's already. Okay, so let's see. Italian director Luca Guadagnino debuted grisly footage of the upcoming remake. We don't know when it's going to come out, but apparently they have shown about what the trailer is going to be about, and apparently it's gotten a lot of people really freaked out, which sounds very familiar to a bunch of other trailers we talked about, in which it's the scariest trailer of all time. It's going to be the scariest movie ever made. There's been a lot of talks about that lately, so yeah.
Soul Scorcher is there saying, I heard that so many times, quote, it's unwatchable, and it never is.
Yeah, I think we even talked about a while back about, we looked at Netflix movies that were that they say is the scariest movie and that they couldn't look back on it. So, yeah, we've already talked about that stuff.
Right.
So,
it sounds interesting to me, but I haven't seen the original, and it'd be interesting to actually compare the two, because if anything, the remake is bringing into my wealth of knowledge the fact that the original exists that I did not know. It sounds like a movie that would be kind of up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, because it's like all the people are dying and there's horrible pain and death and oh my god, what's going on? In the meantime, it's a bunch of attractive young women and gore. But I'm watching it because it's Italian and that's artsy.
Yeah, it's very artsy. I think I remember James Rolfe did a Monster Madness on Suspiria, and from the clips that he showed, it's very artsy, like really colorful and atmospheric. So you'll be getting a combination of that with women getting brutally murdered, and it's, witches. So, hey, that would be fun.
How did I not know about this? What is wrong with me?
But yeah, we are getting a remake of Suspiria, and we don't know when it's going to be coming out, but it should be coming out really soon if the trailer was shown. So maybe we'll be getting it pretty soon.
Scott Duncan says that Netflix horror is just watching Netflix itself.
Yes.
There are things on Netflix that I enjoy watching, but I don't agree with the scariest movies of all time, because most of those were just more laughably bad.
Michael Waller says that Suspiria is part of the Three Mothers trilogy.
Oh, nice. I didn't know, because I didn't know it was part of a trilogy. That's actually really interesting. Let's see. Argento, okay, Leading Blind says Argento is usually more style than substance. It sounds like, basically a horror equivalent of Tim Burton.
Wait, Tim Burton's not... Wait.
Oh, you know what I mean. Mostly known for horror.
Tim Burton takes anything and then tries to put horror in it.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I don't know, maybe an Italian version of Tim Burton. Okay. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tim Bertoni.
That ought to be fun. Timothy Bertoni. Sounds like a restaurant name where he's serving Italian food.
New York Italian American food sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right. All right, but let's go over to our next bit of news that was, I believe that it was announced on CinemaCon. Let me see if I can try to find it. Yeah, here it is. So I'm sure a lot of people already know about the horror movie A Quiet Place. It's already been critically acclaimed as an amazing horror movie. So it's been out for about less than 3 weeks. And during that time, Paramount has announced that they're going to be doing a sequel already.
Awesome.
Yeah. The movie grossed $213 million worldwide in just 19 days. Unsurprisingly, they are making a sequel. Speaking to a crowd at CinemaCon, Paramount Chairman CEO Jim Giannopoulos says they're moving ahead with the sequel to A Quiet Place. And they're going to have the screenwriters, Brian Woods and Scott Beck, and most likely, hopefully, I don't know if John Krasinski is going to be back directing. We did talk about it in the last live stream that he was directing something else. So, yeah, we're going to be having another sequel to, no, that's what it is, Life on Mars, the sci-fi movie. Right. So, yeah, that should be really interesting. So, wow, that's pretty quick that they immediately announced that there's going to be a sequel.
It's I don't know. I mean, with Paramount as well, before, I believe it was with, if I'm remembering right, Friday the 13th where they didn't have a whole series planned initially, but they technically didn't even have the first one out in theaters yet before they decided, yeah, let's make another one.
And I think it was the director who was very much against making a direct sequel to Friday the 13th. I've heard different opinions on this and different rumors that were supposedly like he didn't want to make another Friday the 13th movie that featured Crystal Lake or to have Mrs. Voorhees come back or Jason Voorhees come back. He didn't want that, but that the Friday the 13th movie was originally going to be a sort of more of an anthology series. The points that connected each movie together were going to be the events happen on a Friday the 13th, but they don't involve the same characters or the same location or the same villain. It's all
kind of like how Halloween was originally envisioned to be different stories that take place on Halloween, and it's just after 2 Halloweens that both involve Michael Myers. When they tried to go, hey, Season of the Witch, people were like, what the hell? Where's Michael?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, and I don't know if just in a like rare unicorn moment of foresight, they realized that wouldn't sell, or if that rumor was just incorrect and someone was thinking of Halloween when they were talking about Friday the 13th. But that obviously, Jason came in for the second film and fans just sort of latched onto him, and 13, 14, 20 movies. Decker, you know this better than I do.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of movies later, and you have a film franchise, you have a TV series that was named after the film franchise to capitalize on how popular it was, even though it had nothing to do whatsoever with the actual movies. So,
yeah.
So the Quiet Place being out for a couple of weeks and making bank for Paramount to say, yeah, we can make a sequel to that. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, with Paramount, the way that they do things, especially since, Paramount has been the ones who produce a lot of Nickelodeon movies, I'm not too surprised because, like, shortly after the second SpongeBob movie came out, they already announced that they're going to be doing a third one. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, it's just insane, to be quite honest. But you know what? I mean, it's seriously, like 19 days later, they're already going to do a sequel to it. So it's really commendable that a horror movie like A Quiet Place was able to catch on rather fast.
It's an interesting concept, and everyone has, well, not everyone, but a good chunk of people have told me I should review it. And from reading up on it, it looks like it'd be a little more difficult to review because it's in such a different style of movie than what I'm used to looking at. I'm going to have to think of a kind of different way of going about checking it, just trying to take in and express what's going on, because just saying so-and-so said such and such to so-and-so isn't going to cut it.
No, it's not.
No.
It should be a lot of fun when you also do what was it called? I just lost it. We have a question from Cole.com. Decker D&D. I think you have mentioned that you do play D&D, right?
Oh yeah, it's really hard to find the time anymore, but I really want to get a proper group going regularly. See about maybe bringing back Decker and Dragons. I don't know. It'd be really fun.
I play D&D too, actually. I had a D&D session last night, in fact.
Oh, nice.
Well,
yeah, I've never played D&D before. I did have friends in college who did, but I never had a chance to learn too much about the game.
It's pretty much, in case anything ever goes wrong, it's always the GM's fault. Okay.
Yeah, so let's see. I guess we can go over to our next bit of news, which we did talk about this in the last live stream about how, how they don't really do as much animated series based off of PG-13 rated R movies as much anymore.
Like where they made Rambo as a kids cartoon show.
Yeah, Rambo, RoboCop, A whole bunch of those movies. So yeah, nowadays, I mean, you do have TV shows based off of movies, like especially with Marvel. But can you believe? And I'm not even joking. When I first saw this, I thought it was a joke that they are making an animated series. Get this. They're making an animated series based off of the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Yeah, that was like when I first saw it. It's like, what? Animated series.
Kids.
So fast.
Hey, kids. Yeah. Let's learn about Grand Theft Auto today.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Part of me is wondering if they were trying to make a game and it wasn't working out, and they were like, well, we got all these assets. Forget it. Just
Yes, an animated Fast and Furious series has been ordered at Netflix. In the series, teenager Tony Torello follows in the footsteps of his cousin Dom when he and his friends are recruited by a government agency to infiltrate an elite racing league, serving as a front of a nefarious crime organization bent on world domination.
Oh God, the chat is just like...
I want to see this.
Can we say one-season show? What the fuck?
I want to see... Okay, I need to double check. Okay, let me see. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yes.
Oh man, I mean, like, what kind of drugs were these people on when they thought this was a good idea?
Joe Makamura is asking, how do they even draw that speed on paper? And well, the traditional way is speed lines. That's how you do it in manga. But this is actually DreamWorks CGI, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, DreamWorks CGI, which I know that DreamWorks does have a lot of animated series on Netflix. They have The Croods, they have Puss in Boots, they have Turbo, they have Trolls. I think they also have Boss Baby, but Boss Baby. I think that's DreamWorks. But seriously, Fast and Furious? What?
Oy.
That's amazing.
And Lord Volkos is like, world domination. Of course!
Of course!
Yes. Of course!
Have you guys seen the Kong cartoon on Netflix? It is terrible. I think we actually discussed about that in one of our first episodes of Live and Wired, that they were having a King Kong animated series on Netflix where it takes place in the future and King Kong has a jetpack.
Yeah.
I have to watch it now.
And he fights robots. Dinosaur. Decker.
Yes, he does fight robot dinosaurs.
Monkey fighting robot dinosaurs with a jetpack. I gotta see this.
Yeah, so apparently, like, crazy over-the-top animated series based off of movies clearly not for kids are apparently making a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, James Work says, this is like Wacky Races, but more realistic.
Are you sure about the more realistic part? Because, I mean, the secret... It's criminal. The illegal races are a front for a criminal organization because they can't have a legal front. That's a normal Fast and Furious thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. But oh my god, that should be that's probably like I never would expect in a million years that they would ever do anything remotely like that for Fast and the Furious. I mean, it is true that they have a ton of movies, and like a shit ton of movies. I think they have like 9 or something. But they were like, hey, these movies are becoming so popular that we want to get the kiddies involved in watching our stuff. So, hey, let's see if we can do a Fast and the Furious animated series.
James May says that there was going to be an animated Jurassic Park series.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like CGI animated or just drawn?
It probably would have been drawn. If it would have came out like around the late 90s, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was like hand-drawn. Oh, and Kal-El says Train Your Dragon. Yes, I did forget about the Train Your Dragon animated series. And also the Kung Fu Panda animated series and the Madagascar Penguin animated series. So yeah, there's a ton of animated series by DreamWorks. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, but based on like the race with the criminals is in the fast cars with they go by and they drift, and then the skirt on the lady goes like up and she's like woo, and she's like whoo,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a way with words.
Yes.
It's not knowing what they are.
Pretty much. But yeah, I'm like, how are they going to work that out? I mean, in the first movie, spoiler warning, but in the first movie, not Vin Diesel's character, but his racing partner, I guess you could say, was with the FBI or was a cop, I think. And, it was the whole point was that he started out working undercover before he got in too deep and decided to switch sides. But, like, are they keeping that, in with the animated series? Is that how it's going to go, Are you going to have the same complaints as kids did with the Rambo cartoons, and that Rambo never actually shot anyone and you never saw any blood or anything like you did in the Rambo movies, and there weren't nearly enough explosions? Because I'm like, well, they do at least know the source material. And I mean, like, this was the 80s. For someone who was a child during the 80s, it was a lot easier to get your hands on R-rated material growing up. I mean, like, I remember being 7 years old, and my classmates talking about Halloween and all the Freddy Krueger movies and all this other stuff, and I'm like, I wasn't allowed to see these movies, but everybody else I knew had already seen them and, like, watched them several times from the way they talked about it. So
HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually funny because if you ever watch the Nick Arcade pilot, and they were like, no, I'm not even joking. In the Nick Arcade pilot, they were showing, like, pictures of, okay, I want you to point out these 3 iconic horror movie characters. They're going to be flashing really quickly. Just name 3. And they had Freddy Krueger, they had Chucky, they had Jason, and it's like, these are kids. These are like 7-year-old kids, and they're already showing them horror movie icons for them to memorize. It's like, Yep.
Gabriel Torres says Maniac Cop, the animated series.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we talked about how during the John Massari episode of Live and Wired that there was going to be a Child's Play series, that was the original creator, was going to be working behind the scenes on. So it was going back to its roots and trying to make it scary again. And, it just begs the question, well, then, should that show be animated, to appeal to a younger demographic then?
Yeah.
Scar99 is like, we don't talk about the Planet of the Apes cartoon.
Well, technically you did.
Decker and I already did talk about the Planet of the Apes cartoon.
Yeah. Now they're talking about, like, Decker Shado should have an animated series.
I don't understand. What would my animated series be? I can't actually just sit down and review things in an animated.
No, Decker. It has to be something completely different than what you normally do. So instead of you sitting down on a couch and reviewing stuff, you have to have your own TV show, and then you have to find a closet when you're grabbing your cameras and stuff, and you have to be ported over to another dimension where you're confronted by a whole bunch of movie and TV stars, and then you're basically the chosen one, and then
go
ahead.
It's just, and then it was like Frozen, and like, and then.
I'm Frozen. I'm sorry. So then you're trying to get yourself back in, and there's like this crazy Saturday morning cartoon villain, and Kal-El says it will probably be like Mighty Max. Yeah, there you go, Mighty Max.
Okay, I can do that.
Sure.
Oh God, yeah. Remember animated Beetlejuice, says Zegerman King. I remember that.
Me too.
I remember this one episode. It was so dumb. It's like, oh, I lost my foot. It didn't like me anymore, so it left. And now I realize how much I need my foot because I can't trip people without my foot. It's like, why not? Just put your leg forward a little bit.
Yeah, well, we can go about this ridiculousness forever, but seriously, Fast and the Furious.
We usually do.
Yeah, I know. But Fast and the Furious animated series, it is happening.
But speaking of things from the 90s.
Oh, yes, that's right. So, speaking of things from the 90s, we are going to be having another TV movie coming out, courtesy of Nickelodeon. I know that there's already been mentions about Rocko's Modern Life and Invader Zim, but it had already been announced a while ago that we are getting an Are You Afraid of the Dark TV movie, and done by Paramount, because of course it is. So, yeah, October 11th, 2019 will be the premiere of the Are You Afraid of the Dark TV movie, and it will be written by Gary Dauberman, who was the writer of the It remake. So, yeah, it says right here, the show is about the shared experience of telling stories, especially scary ones. We're going to be celebrating that with this movie and honor the darker, scarier tone of the show, which is groundbreaking for Nickelodeon at the time. I hope the Midnight Society approves, and yeah, it should be really interesting. I need a drink.
Right. But yeah, the concept of the children's horror show or children's horror movie, it always sounds kind of silly, but then when you get down to it, those that actually do a decent job at it work because they work in the kind of the same way as the original Twilight Zone series, back when you had all kinds of rules on TV. You can't show this, can't show that, can't show that. I mean, it feels like anymore they just kind of go for the shock value, the jump scares and the gore, and throw titties in your face, and it's like, ha, you're entertained. But back, they couldn't do that back with the original Twilight Zone series, and that's why some of those are some of the best episodes of Twilight Zone. And I feel like children's horror kind of has some of those same limitations, and it's one of the only places where you're actively encouraged to find that more psychological, really messes with your brain kind of horror.
Yeah. I honestly, though, I am excited for the Are You Afraid of the Dark movie, because Are You Afraid of the Dark is something that I can get really, really nostalgic about. It's something that I can feel excited about. There are still episodes that I can go back and watch and think to myself, yeah, that's really scary, or that was creepy, you know?
Yeah.
And this is me talking here. But
before you continue, we have a $5 question from the Terror of Death, who says, Dicker, when you finally review War of the Planet of the Apes, please review it with creepy.
Can't do that. Kind of, sort of already filmed a bit.
Oh, sorry.
But hey, you're going to get it sooner.
But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm sorry. Continue, creepy.
Well, now that all the fun in life has been taken out of it for me,
I'm sorry.
Shame. I'm pointing at Decker, not you, Patricia. Shame. Anyway, where was I? Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I there's the usual questions. Well, is it going to be a good movie? Is it going to suck? But at the same time, I'm like, it's good. I don't know. You know, just the simple premise. You know, a bunch of kids get together on, you know, one night a week, out in the woods, which has some negative connotations underneath in and of itself. But, you know,
they never remember to bring the wheat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like that would have been Decker's line. That would, if he were in this movie, is like, God damn it! Did nobody remember to bring the weed? It's like, it's not that kind of a meeting, Decker. How did I even come? You see, this it writes itself, you know. But no, you know, Are You Afraid of the Dark movie? I can get excited for this.
Yeah, there was supposed to be an Are You Afraid of the Dark movie that would have came out in the 90s. DJ McHale told me this story when I was interviewing him, I would say like about a few years ago, that the movie would have been about the boogeyman, and it would have featured Mr. Shado. And it was supposed to be darker and more scarier than what they could do in the TV show, but Nickelodeon rejected it, saying it was too scary for kids, which is kind of ironic, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, they were really close to not doing Are You Afraid of the Dark because they thought it was too scary. They didn't think anybody would like it. So it was like the original pilot copy of the script was like sitting in a corner, but then a new intern came along and he was just reading the script that was collecting dust in a closet somewhere. And he's like, why aren't we doing this? This is amazing. And so it was because of him that we even got the show in the first place.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad that I don't know. I think that DJ will be executive producing it, from what I remember. But it should be. It's really nice to know that they are bringing the concept back after almost 20 years.
Dan asks, darker than Aliens versus Predator Requiem?
No.
I think that's dark in a literal sense, more than. Though that movie was also pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think we're going to go into that extreme, but who knows, maybe we could be surprised. I mean, if you ever seen Hey Arnold the Jungle movie, they did get away with some pretty extreme things. Like you saw La Sombra essentially killing off his men by leading him into booby traps, and then the Jungle Queen was like grabbing a blade from her wrist that she had, and then she just like threw it into La Sombra, almost like killing him, and then he succumbed into the sleeping sickness and he fell down a cliff. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they could like push the limit a little bit, but
hey, Arnold, this is some pretty fucked up shit.
Right, that should be fun. But yeah, Ryan Walterson says they're doing a live action Dora the Explorer movie produced by Platinum Dunes, and I'm like, yes, I know, and I'm like shocked. I'm like, why? When I think of Platinum Dunes, I think of Michael Bay. I do not think of Michael Bay and Dora the Explorer together. I'm like, why?
That is a car wreck. Car wreck. It will explode.
Do you know which way that we can get away from the explosion? Where? And then you have the mouse just click straight to the explosion so that the movie can end quicker. Like that Robot Chicken skit in which you have the mouse trying to lead Dora into her death by walking towards a thin, icy bridge so that she can fall. And then she basically like lifted her hand and said, "Can you guess what finger I'm holding? I hope that you guess it's the finger that means fuck you."
Ryan Walterson says the Dora movie is being written by Nicholas Stoller, so it could be funny.
I hope it'll be funny. They'll just give me my suspension of disbelief that Dora the Explorer movie is being produced by the same company that Michael Bay works at. Okay, well, I think we're done here.
Oh, man.
What's next?
More 90s.
More 90s coming up.
Let's go with a little video games and movies.
Yes.
But movies about video games. Yeah.
Oh, yes, please. Please do so. Oh, my God. I need to breathe. Okay, so we did talk about a while back that there is going to be a Metal Gear Solid movie. Well, there has been some more information shared about that since then. And according to what this article says, the first ever... Oh, wait. Get this out of the way. Stop seeing this ad. Go away. Okay. Go away. Okay. The first ever Metal Gear Solid movie will be a tactful ode to 90s gaming. Gamers and most kids who grew up in the 90s have been... Damn it! Go away! I've been talking about a Metal Gear Solid movie ever since its creator Hideo Kojima unveiled plans for an adaptation in 2006. Currently, it has Derek Connolly as the producer and the screenwriter who penned Jurassic World and Star Wars Episode 9 has been brought to write this movie. And according to what he says it'll be promising to fight tooth and nail to make sure it is done properly. And it's going to be an homage to like 90s gaming. So, yeah, you know what? Out of all the Metal Gear games to be adapted, I'm surprised that they're doing Metal Gear Solid. I mean, shouldn't they do the first Metal Gear game? I mean, I know Metal Gear Solid was the first Metal Gear game that Americans were first introduced to because we didn't get the
there was the original Metal Gear that was ported to the NES, but the NES version was kind of the worst version of that game, and it was terribly translated. And when you're supposed to be facing off against a Metal Gear, actually it's just a computer, and you like beat the computer. Boom.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But the second Metal Gear game never came out in America. But a second Metal Gear game did come out in America. It just wasn't the second Metal Gear game. It was made in America as Snake's Revenge. It was this side-scrolling, ridiculous thing.
Yeah, it looks like Contra. But yeah, exactly. And then we have Metal Gear Solid, which basically takes all of the elements that were featured in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake and puts it into 3D. So, yeah, I'm really interested to find out how they're going to do that. And I guess with Metal Gear Solid, it could work as a movie. It just has to be done well. And I don't think... and I know a lot of people have been requesting that David Hayter play a Snake, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
They built a new Metal Gear, Snake.
Metal Gear?
What about the Pentagon?
Pentagon?
I'm not wearing underwear.
Underwear? Wait a minute.
No, Otacon. You're supposed to say that, you had no idea that you were giving information to the wrong crowd, and then you accidentally piss on yourself when you were in fear. So, there you go. But nonetheless, yes, Leading Blind, we have created a time paradox.
And I think maybe because Metal Gear Solid was the game where the story was crazy enough, but it wasn't Metal Gear Solid 2 crazy yet.
No, it was not. And I'm actually curious about how they're going to do the Psycho Mantis scene. Okay, so it's like in that level, you have to put the controller port to the second one in order for you to play it so that it doesn't read your mind. How are they going to defeat Psycho Mantis? Is he going to say like, "Oh, you have to watch the next movie in order for you to defeat me"?
No, I'm thinking Psycho Mantis could talk about if you're watching it like on DVD or Blu-ray or ultra high definition or in IMAX if you're in a theater. Just break the fourth wall in a very specific way there. Maybe you're watching it on Netflix streaming. So just record a Psycho Mantis line for all of that.
Yes.
He's got a mask on. You can do this. It's just a voiceover. It's easy.
Yeah.
Lunchbox64 gave us a $10 donation saying, "You guys make this life much more enjoyable. Thank you very much."
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Or better still, have whoever is playing Solid Snake, just when that happens, be like, "What?"
Like, you purchased this on a matinee, you cheap bastard.
It's like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh no, wait, I did it wrong. What the hell is he talking about? And of course, that could just be the whole fight scene. Psycho Mantis is breaking the fourth wall, like Deadpooling it all over the place, and
Ryan Reynolds is Psycho Mantis.
Yeah, and Solid Snake is just kind of like, I still don't know what the hell you're saying.
And then you have Colonel Campbell coming in and says, "Snake, come in, Snake. You have to change seats. You have to grab the soda from the concession stand." It's the
you
only
don't get that
way.
crazy until the second Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, fine. And then, then we'll have to go through the whole la-le-lu-le-lo, la-le-lu-le-lo. But yeah, that should be fun. Let's see what other missions that'll be so crazy that you'll be wondering what. I know in like various Metal Gear games, they have like a whole bunch of Easter eggs if you take pictures of the walls, and you have like the creators and the producers like all over the place. And depending on which console that you play it, whether it be like the PlayStation or on the GameCube, they have like cameos of various characters. Like in the GameCube version, you see Mario and Yoshi like sitting on Otacon's computer, and I wonder what kind of references they'll be having. If you do that. Let's see. Also, when you're trying to find Meryl, and there's like, oh, what's Meryl's?
Can you get there before she gets her pants back on?
Okay, how do I call Meryl? You have to look at the back of the CD case, or maybe look in the bottom of the popcorn bag, and then you'll be able to find the codec number.
Oh, hopefully that will go better than the Star Tropics video game from 8-bit Nintendo era, where you were told to dunk the map in water, and what they meant was the map that came with the cartridge inside the box, not the cartridge itself or a map that was inside the game. You just had to dunk a piece of paper down into the water for a password to appear and then punch that in.
Yes. I love those kind of cryptic stuff. It's too bad you can't have that nowadays because of the internet. Anyway,
Well,
so yeah, go ahead.
I think in that, and the example that I gave specifically, there were so many kids who got confused and didn't know what the hell the clue was talking about, that all of them wrote into video game magazines asking, what this meant and how they could get past it. And finally, they just gave the answer away.
Right.
Patrick Johnson says, if Raiden isn't doing naked cartwheels in the sequel, I will be severely disappointed.
Nice.
And now, for your edification, I will consume a ruffled potato chip.
While you do that, we have our Twitter results. Okay, so according to the poll, 70% says Ash Williams, because of course. 22% says the modified Gigan. 6% says the TX from Terminator 3. And 2% says the Chainsaw Lizard from Kamen Rider.
Aw, poor Kamen Rider.
And Deshinta commented on the tweet, I'm surprised that the next even got rated a mention considering how awful that is.
Well, I mean, I guess we wanted to give a slight mention of it because, I don't know, it's the only thing that had chainsaw hands that we can think of.
Well, it's something I could think of that had chainsaw hands that I had a feeling that maybe my audience knew about because I reviewed it with Creepy at one point.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But still, nonetheless, Metal Gear Solid movie. I'm actually really curious about how they're going to pull it off. I'm really intrigued by it. Okay, so so let's see. We have a whole bunch of other stuff that will be interesting to discuss about. I guess we can talk about some more video games. This time in a good way, because God forbid that we have to talk about video games in a bad way, like we've been seeing over the past
doing every episode.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing every episode in which video games are bad and they don't do good to anybody. They cause violence. Well,
Dark Souls on Switch got delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. Anyway, so there's particularly a physics teacher from Detroit, Michigan, who uses Overwatch to demonstrate science. Okay, so there is a YouTube video called Temperature of Maze Spray in Overwatch Calculation. And the question that it is discussed about they have to solve a physics question. What temperature would be the substance of Maze endothermic blaster have to be to freeze Soldier 76 solid? So if you're interested about that, there's a YouTube video which you can click on the description box below without any freaking ads. And more ads, go away. Okay, so the students use the Newton's law of cooling equation to figure it out. It is initially assumed that May's endothermic blaster can freeze Soldier 76 completely solid in 1.4 seconds. There's a lot of science that they won't explain, but apparently science, according to what this article says, science is fun, and we can learn a lot from thinking about video games in the context of physics.
What I don't understand in the article is where they say that, it must have only frozen like a few millimeters to explain how they are still alive after they thaw out, as well as, all of that. I'm thinking, if she freezes them completely solid in 1.4 seconds, they can survive thawing that out. They just have to thaw in 1.4 seconds as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you freeze that quickly, the ice crystals formed are very small, and they will not break the cell walls.
True.
Yeah. But still, nonetheless.
Science.
Yes, use science. But yeah, I have been hearing in various articles about how various high school and colleges are teaching a particular subject with video games. I think one of them, I want to recall that there was a article a few years ago that I read about a school in Sweden, I think, that they were teaching Minecraft, and it was mostly about discussing about like building, different landscapes, or it was about um, construction. So I think that's what they were talking about. I don't remember, but nonetheless, that should be a case that for all the articles that has been saying that video games cause violence and video games cause all of this stuff that's been happening, it depends on a lot of things. And there's I mean, there's good examples and there's bad examples, and I hope that there's at least something that we can learn from it.
Patrick Johnson says their English teacher that had them read Batman comics.
Oh wow, nice.
Cool.
So I'm wondering, like, how did your English teacher have you read Batman comics? Were they like, no, you got to get him a little more gravelly, like, where are the drugs?
Actually, I know someone, a good friend of mine. He has his own YouTube channel. He was doing videos on YouTube before Decker or I or any of us were. He actually learned to read because of comic books. His mom moved he and his family around a lot when he was growing up, like for the first half of elementary school, and because of that, and he had trouble reading. It was a lot harder for him to grasp than it was for other kids, and because his mom, he bounced around from area to area for several years, it just got to the point where it just didn't seem like it was worthwhile. Like no matter where he went, he was going to be put in a new school, and because he moved around so much, he was going to be behind everybody else. So and I think he was in 5th or 6th grade. He said he was functionally illiterate, and they put him in a remedial reading class to try and correct that, and to try and encourage him to read. The counselor there gave him a comic book and told him to, and he wanted to, and it was the first time he had really had something that made him want to read, made him want to catch up and learn how to read, because he was like, I want to know what's going on here and what's happening in all of this. And it was either a Robin comic book or a Batman comic book. But to this day, Robin is his favorite superhero character. He is still into comics. That's one of the things that he talks about on his channel. But he, to this day, because of that, Robin has remained his favorite superhero.
That's very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there was even a lot of studies about how Tetris is also good for your health for people who apparently have like lazy eye, that they can be able to like see the tetronomos falling into one place, and how it can help straighten the eye a little bit more. And Matthew Olstein says, which Robin?
Tim Drake.
Okay, Tim Drake Robin. Okay.
Tim Drake Robin. This would have been the late 80s, early 90s, right around the time that Jason Todd died and Tim Drake was entering the picture. So yeah, he once did I want to say it was like a 10-minute video on A Lonely Place of Dying, which was where Tim Drake which was the storyline that introduced Tim Drake to the Batman mythos as the new Robin, as and who was Robin for almost 2 decades.
The Terror of Death donated $5 and said, I use the Dot Hack franchise and the Persona games to teach people about different psychological issues.
Nice.
That's actually a good point, because while I have issues with the Dot Hack series, at least the anime, it is a good psychological story, and some of the characters are interesting.
I really liked Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice take on like expressing psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it really worked out well. And it also it's so funny, the one thing that so many people got really upset with, so many game journalists got really just specifically rated the game low for having, and then people found out like it didn't really have that. But then, I mean, I watched my fiance play through the game like several times, and I get to that point again. I'm like, wait a minute, they're not lying there. They're telling the truth. You have to look at how they say it, what exactly they say. That is exactly what happens. It's just not what people thought when they got to it. Mm-hmm. They thought that the game was telling them that it was permadeath in the game. And they're like, oh, there's going to be permadeath. I don't have any idea how many lives I have, and eventually I'm just not going to be. No. Bad game, anti-consumer, just terrible, rate it low.
Right.
And it got into people's heads. But that's not what it was. But they didn't lie. From the words they used, exactly what they said happened was going to happen. Eventually, the rot would reach her head, and her adventure would be over, and the progress would be lost. That's what happens.
Yes.
But it's not a permadeath system.
No.
No.
We have a comment from Scott Duncan who says, I use God of War to teach me about the gods. It's actually funny because my cousin did the same thing. My cousin was in high school. They were teaching Greek mythology, and he played the God of War games, and he was able to learn all about the gods because of that game.
Is it, which one's Poseidon? Oh, that's the one who you rip his spine out of his ass. Now, what's he a god of? Oh, water.
Which one? What is the story of Icarus again? Oh yeah, it's the story about a guy with wings, and then you rip them right off of his back, and then you just let him fall to the ground, and he dies.
I think that's not the version that I remember.
That's
I'm
not
just
the
saying.
version.
No, I know people who have had, varying degrees of, they had a social anxiety, who are on the spectrum, and the internet has been beneficial, and online gaming and just video games in general have been beneficial in helping them to make social connections, which was before very, very hard for them. But, with a buffer, in between, in this case, the internet and online gaming or just gaming in general, it has helped bridge what felt like for them a very big gap.
Yeah. I find virtual reality kind of lowers that gap a bit. I don't know. I hop into Rec Room in the PSVR and I pop in to the lobby, and there's a bunch of people around. I'm just like, I just kind of go into a corner, just look at people. Like,
yeah. Another $5 comment from the Terror of Death who says, and both of them helped me get out in a really dark place, and by both of them I mean Dot Hack and Persona.
That's good.
Right. That is good.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the story of, I listened to Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson, and Steve Bloom was telling the story about how there was a kid who was like incredibly shy, and he was autistic, and he barely said anything. And when watching episodes of Digimon, he like really reacted to it in a positive way. And the whole family was like watching together, and he was able to talk more, and he has friends now. And, it was because of stuff like that was able to take him from being a really shy kid to a kid who is very active and has a lot of friends.
Yeah, that kind of actually sounds like a little bit something like what I went through. It was, I grew up watching, X-Men cartoons and all these other shows. And in the area that I lived, there were not a lot of people who, well, they either didn't watch them or they didn't admit to watching them. It was like the secret shame that they had. And but when I got into college, I was around, people more often. And I won't say that college was nothing like high school, because there was still that element there, especially early on, fresh out of high school. But I was able to find people who had the same or similar interests as me. And so I felt like, I finally, met people that I felt like I could relate to a little bit. And that was a good experience for me.
Yeah, I went through the exact same thing. I was like very antisocial in high school because a lot of people made fun of me for various reasons. Then when I went to college and I met up with my friends over at the Wolvolution forums, who were like a huge gaming community that did a lot of tournaments, that really helped me a lot in becoming more social and getting out of my shell, and basically just making friends with things that I found in common with other people, and it really helped me a lot.
I'm a high school dropout that plays video games and watches movies.
Hey, if that works for you, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Enough with the mushy stuff. Let's go on to the other articles because we still have a ton. Like I said before, CinemaCon 2018 revealed a ton of upcoming movies, and since Decker's not ready to do a 40-minute rant, we'll continue on with the other stuff. Let's go over to some movie news. And remember when I told you guys about how there's going to be like a huge event for Friday the 13th where there's the same scene where they filmed Crystal Lake. There's going to be like showings of the Friday the 13th movie, so there's going to be a huge event. Well, apparently there is going to be something similar for the Thing fans. On June 25th, 2022, hardcore fans of the cult classic The Thing will gather at Frigid Outpost 31 to celebrate the movie's 40th anniversary.
There's plenty of time to schedule it.
Yes, exactly. So if you are in the British Columbia area and if you don't mind freezing temperatures and you want to know where the movie was filmed and you want to just see it, then you have the chance to do it. So good luck.
Alternatively, you could just stand in a room made out of styrofoam and look around and possibly end up with about the same experience, especially if it's really cold.
Yeah.
True.
But that's actually pretty dedicated. I mean, I do know about people who like to, strip out of their clothes and swim in freezing waters or like jump into snow. But the fact that they're going to probably an abandoned area where they filmed, a really classic movie, then good for you.
Is there still going to be the burnt up outpost there?
I have no idea.
Because, I mean, the way they did it was they filmed the one outpost, and then they blew it up and burnt it, and then they filmed that again for the later scenes when they went to the Norwegian outpost, and it was all blown up and burnt up. They didn't burn down two different ones. It was just the one they burnt up, but after they burnt it up, that was the Norwegian one. They filmed those scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see let me see if I can find anything in the article. Let's see, here it is. On June 25th, 2022, a number of deeply enthusiastic people will arrive at Stewart, British Columbia, but only to proceed 45 minutes north to a remote, hard-to-find site of colder temperatures atop a glacier they call Outpost 31. This is where they filmed The Thing, and I don't see anything else other than that. It just says that they will, dedicated fans will be going there, so... here it is. There's another article, paragraph.
Okay.
Although they built the set on a British Columbia glacier, it is meant to fill the story's requirement. A U.S. scientific station in Antarctica, manned by a dozen biologists, meteorologists, geologists, physics, supporting staff. Each year, the real men and women who winter over the Amsterdam South Pole Station, where it reaches negative 80 degrees, do the same thing the first full night of winter, where they gather around to watch The Thing, followed by a special dinner.
Right.
Okay, so real people actually do that, but for these particular hardcore fans, they want to do it, and I don't know if they're going to be
filming location, but
at the film.
Who knows if the ruins are still there? But what else could someone have built there? And a Red Spark says also somebody open the lament configuration so we can watch Hellraiser in hell.
Hey, irony. I hear they're very big on that in hell, so who knows? Maybe. Oh, no. Wait, what it is you open the lament from.
Michael Lena's here. They say, I've always missed this until now.
You open the lament configuration in hell, and you get to watch the Hellraiser movies, but it's all of the movies that came after. It's the movies that came after 1 and 2. It's all the crappy sequels.
Yes. Well, I'm going to watch Nightmare.
Watchable. And I have a soft spot for 4. Bloodline,
I'm going to watch all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies while I am in the same boiler room where this movie was first shot in, like the first scene. It's probably going to be like really hot, but hey, I want to be authentic.
You get the part where she burns her forearm on the pipe, and you're like, I wonder what that's really like. Stop, son of a...
Yeah, more and more, this almost feels like a take on the Rocky Horror Experience, where you go to a movie theater and you don't just watch the movie on the screen. You have performers standing down front, acting, pantomiming out different scenes while it's being played out, and the audience gets in on the act, throwing toast and firing squirt guns and so forth, and it just makes me wonder, is that where this is going? Are these other franchises going in that direction now with this interactive live action theater play, sort of almost role playing experience, almost like a LARP? It's almost like
they got that huge thing going on with Killer Clowns very soon, like in less than a month, on the 19th of May, the live orchestra, live to film, with the Dickies opening concert, just crazy stuff. I'm looking at that like, man, maybe I shouldn't have shown up in LA now, because now I can't afford going back to do that.
Yeah.
Patrick Johnson says, I can't wait till the Gravity anniversary screening in the airless vacuum of space.
Suffocate and freeze dry to death, while watching the movie.
Yes.
For a bit of as a meta example, the Scream movies, in the fourth movie that came out in April of 2011, I want to say it was in 2011, I want to say, but you find out that in the years since the original killings, there is a stab-a-thon that is held every year on the anniversary, and of course, Stab was the name of the based on actual events film series within the Scream universe. So, I mean, I'm imagining this kind of thing applied to Scream, but like for that to work out, you have to have people in a theater watching themselves in a theater watching Scream, and then when you get to the Stab portions, you're watching yourself in a theater watching a movie where the events of the movie are being played out in a fictional movie. So it's like the quadruple meta paradox that's happening.
What? Okay.
And for those of you who now have headaches, I apologize. Not really, but I apologize.
Yeah, let's see. Scott Duncan says, go watch it in a clown tent with a whole bunch of clowns around you.
No.
Let's see. Alpha Fairfox says, watch Saw in the same bathroom the movie was shot in. Wow. I'm actually really intrigued. I mean, if fans are that dedicated to go into the exact locations where all of this stuff is filmed, then you know what? Yeah, I give kudos to all of you.
Oh, here's one. Watch Candyman in the original ghetto that it was filmed in.
Staring at a mirror, and then say Candyman 5 times and wonder if he'll come out. Yeah, but there's so much, but anyway, and if you are to watch any Stephen King movie, go to Maine.
Go to Maine. Yes.
Go to Maine. Doesn't matter which one. I don't care. Shining, Misery, It. Who cares? Go to Maine.
The story set in Maine, of course, there's nowhere else to live. But the writer, the alcoholic too, the adulterer and his whore, some dumb rednecks, a disappointing resolution here in Stephen King's Maine.
Okay.
All right. Well. Okay, so that was fun.
We're getting just as far into that as we do with the animated series of the R-rated movies.
Yeah.
My God. All right, speaking of animated series, another one was announced recently. So, according to, if I can pull it up, and hopefully there will be no ads. According to Game Informer, there's going to be an anime-inspired anime series of Star Wars called Star Wars Resistance. The same guy who created Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels will be back doing this new incarnation on the Disney Channel. The series focuses on a pilot named Kasuda Ziono, a pilot working for the Resistance as it seeks to learn more information about the First Order. So it promises the appearances of BB-8, and Poe Dameron, and Captain Phasma. And according to what the article says, Fiona claims, the idea for Star Wars Resistance came out of my interest in World War II aircraft and fighter pilots. My grandfather was a pilot, and my uncle flew and restored planes, so that's been a big influence on me. There's a long history of high-speed racing in Star Wars, and I think we've captured that sense of excitement in an anime-inspired style, which is something the entire team has been wanting to do for a very long time. So yeah, an anime-inspired Star Wars animated series.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It sounds cool.
I'm pretty sure it'll look nice, but I'm trying to figure out, like. Then again, I can't figure out the stories of the new ones anyway. So I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So, but it might look nice. Anime style, so racing stuff, and the ships, nice.
Yeah, well, I know that
Good luck
you've
to anyone who
covered most
understood
of the
that.
Star Wars movies, Decker, but you haven't done the animated series yet. There's Clone Wars, Star Wars, The Clone War, Star Wars Rebels, and now this one. I think that out of all of them, that's really tough to say which one is the best one because they all have their strengths.
Kevin Ketron's asking, can't we have a show about the Old Republic?
That would be awesome. I mean, but I think that the games have already covered that. But
there's also the fact that if we have a series based on the Old Republic, it will consist primarily of Jar Jar Binks in the Senate room addressing everyone.
Oh God, no.
Oskmag's asking, hold on, there's going to be an appearance of Phasma, but didn't she eat shit in The Last Jedi, or are we ignoring those? Wait, which one was Phasma? Was she the Chromie?
I haven't seen The Last Jedi.
Or am I thinking of the wrong one?
I don't know. And that's my.
If this is about it depends. If it's on the New Republic, then yeah, that's a continuity error, possibly. If it's the Old Republic, though, then that takes place before any of the Star Wars movies. That basically is when things were supposedly good.
The armor chick, didn't she die in the Force Awakens as well? Because didn't they shove her in the garbage thing? I mean, we didn't see it, but that's what they said they did.
What is she, Kenny now?
So she died.
Oh my God!
They said that they threw her in the garbage compressor in the first one. We never saw it, so I can accept that she didn't actually. Something maybe else happened, but the planet blew up, so I don't know. But then she dies in The Last Jedi, and now she's back in the show.
Maybe it takes place before that? I don't know. I mean,
as the Clone Wars animated series was made after Episode 2, but General Grievous was a major character in it. However, he died in Episode 2.
I thought he died in Episode 3.
Or wait, I don't know. Wasn't it 2 or 3? What the fuck?
It was 3 because General Grievous was featured actually in Clone Wars, where he actually became like a menacing antagonist, and then he was shown in. No, I think he died in 3, in which I think in the third one they basically just made him into a coward.
But I could have sworn he died like in the movie he was introduced in.
The second movie wasn't Dooku like the main villain in that?
Dooku died in 3.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in Clone Wars. I mean, that was what basically it was about, right?
And Dooku was the human, right?
Yeah, the human played by Christopher Lee. Good job, Jekker. Lord Voco says the Clone Wars is between Episode 2 and 3, and Rebels takes place after 3.
Grievous only appeared in 3. They're telling me.
Yeah.
Who the hell was in 2?
Dooku. You reviewed the movie.
I know, but my brain doesn't work.
I know. Please mind Decker, everybody. He's still tired from his trip.
I thought I knew movies. I don't. I'm a terrible, terrible human being.
Should I give the information to Decker, or should I just remind him that he has access to the internet and could have looked this up already?
Well, not in the middle of the thing. Well, maybe, but I'd have to be like down. Like...
That's okay. But so basically, the guy who was responsible for the 3 previous, the 2 previous Star Wars animated series, the Clone Wars, and with Star Wars Rebels, and the fact that he's back to doing this one, it seems like he's he knows what he's doing. It seems like it's in good hands. Star Wars Clone Wars was actually done by Genndy Tartakovsky, the one who created Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack, and that was also really good too. It was really short. Basically, they're like 3 or 4 minutes long, and they were like put in between if you're waiting for another show on Cartoon Network. But yeah, they were awesome. By the way, I mean, if you watch everything, it's probably like around 2 or 3 hours. And then there's the Clone Wars, which had a really good run, even though the show was canceled. And I haven't seen Star Wars Rebels. I did hear some really good things about it because I know that in the first season, Greg Weisman was a huge part in it. And I think he left after season 2 or 3. I don't remember.
But there's always the question of which is better, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, God. We're back to this again? Okay, but yeah, speaking of, now we're jumping into Star Trek because going back into CinemaCon 2018, there was another announcement regarding about another movie. So Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4 has a director announced, and her name, yes, I said her name. Her name is S.J. Clarkson, and she was the same director behind Jessica Jones. And she will be the director of the 4th film in the Star Trek franchise. And let's see, Paramount CEO Jin Giannopoulos confirmed 2 Star Trek films are currently in the works with Skydance Media last night at CinemaCon. And the project is separated from the script that Mark L. Smith has written for Quentin Tarantino to direct, and according to the trade, Tarantino's film will come to fruition after Star Trek 4. So yeah. The first 2 movie, the first movie was done by, the first 2 was done by J.J. Abrams, and then the third movie was done by, I want to say Wright, but it could be somebody else. But yeah, now the 4th one is actually going to be done by a woman, which that should be, it's a first for the series.
True.
I'm just like, well, okay, what'd she do? Jessica Jones? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As they say, they're gonna have a vagina. I'm like, so?
Yes, exactly.
That's me.
So yeah, I'm actually really curious because the most recent Star Trek movies, which the first one came out almost 10 years ago. Holy crap! It pretty much just like revitalized the Star Trek franchise again. So we have the first 3 movies, and then we have Star Trek Discovery, which is completely separate from the movies. And my dad watches it pretty much every week, and he seems to enjoy it okay because he's a huge Star Trek nut.
Right.
And yeah, basically the fact we don't know too much about what the story is. They just announced who the director was, but yeah, I'm actually really interested of what they're going to be doing with it.
Same here.
Yeah, no one special says, don't care if it's a man or a woman. What matters is will the movie be any good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Will the movie be any good? The first movie was of Star Trek. I mean, like the first 2, the reboot of Star Trek. Yeah, I actually liked it. The second one, I actually saw that on my birthday, and it was okay. Basically, just a rehash of Wrath of Khan. The third one, I did see in pieces, and it looked really interesting. The 4th one, well, as for what I've heard about so far with that, yeah, I'm actually really interested to see a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not too knowledgeable about the new Star Trek series.
Have you seen the other have you seen anything else Star Trek related?
I saw the original.
Okay, that's good.
Like the original back 60s.
Yeah.
That's good.
There are a lot of green women.
Yes. Yes, there are. Very good, Decker. There's a lot of green women.
That would be the thing he remembers. I wouldn't be surprised by this.
Wait, wouldn't he remember blue women?
I think there was a blue woman, at least twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were a lot of green women.
Yes, there were.
And this is where Decker's fetish for green-skinned space babes come from. Because this is where it originated from, and this is the Freudian excuse for it now.
Yeah, but exactly. And, I know that, similar to Batman, the 60s Star Trek animated series is pretty cheesy, but it is still a very entertaining and very iconic series that's still remembered for a reason. $5 from the Terror of Death, who says, "Oh, by the way, did anyone hear about Studio Ghibli theme park? Did we hear about it? I haven't actually." And $2, yeah, I would love to go to a Studio Ghibli theme park. That would be amazing.
I think I maybe saw something in passing on Facebook while I was trying desperately to get past Facebook as quickly as possible. And I was like, yeah, it's going to have things like this area from My Neighbor Totoro. I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. Just get Facebook, go away.
$2 from Basura Lord, who says, "Tip for Jesus the movie critic."
There you go, creepy.
All right, so
of the two of us, I'm the one who looks like Jesus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
You're taller. You got the divinity height.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take the money then. And does this count as tithing now? Because that's tax deductible.
I'm sure. With maybe by just taking away taxes, that's about $1.30.
Mm-hmm.
That cult dude says, "So Decker is Moses?"
It's just walk for 40 days and 40 nights. It's what I do on occasion.
Yeah, I can believe that would be Decker's solution to going anywhere. Let's just walk there. Never mind that stuff about asking for directions or anything like that. If we get lost, we'll just wander around in the wilderness for 40 years or so, and we'll eventually get where we're going.
Yes, the 40 days and 40 nights is Noah Decker. Anyway, Dan says Decker changes water to wine, though.
Why did you do that, Decker?
Yeah.
I don't know. I changed beer to air.
Mag says Decker is the father, Creepy is the son, and Gambra is the Holy Spirit.
We have a very weird religion building right now. Patricia, does that mean you're our high priestess?
Yes.
Yeah, Scott Duncan is asking who is Patricia.
Yeah, who am I? I don't know.
The high priestess of the church of... Damn it, what are we going to call ourselves?
We need to have like an amalgamation of some sorts. The
creepy shadow.
Yes, the lair of the creepy shadow. That's a good one.
Lane.
The lane of the creepy shadow. Okay. Good evening to all who come before us. Welcome to the lane of the creepy shadow. Gaze upon these two men as they spout out wisdom of how you live your daily lives.
Zegerman King says, "Getting weird now, folks." And Lunchbox 64 drops $2 saying, "All hail the great long-haired creepy guy."
Ah. So.
Do I have to keep posing like this?
No, you're done. You're done.
Let's just go straight to the end of the world. Terminator.
Yes, Terminator. Okay, so yeah.
Our entire end of days doctrine will consist of bits and pieces of different movie and television franchises, like that kid from the Book of Mormon musical, like where he basically took Star Wars and a bunch of other stuff together and tried to spin it as some sort of philosophy.
Yeah. All right, so Terminator. James Cameron's Terminator will have a direct sequel to T2 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton, which is kind of crazy considering about how many times they have tried to steer into the right direction of Terminator ever since Terminator 3. So we had Terminator Salvation, we had Terminator Genesis, and then we have this movie coming up, which is a sequel to Terminator 2, which shouldn't happen because... Number one, they already tried to do that with Terminator 3. And number two, that was a conclusive ending, and it didn't really need to happen. So, yeah. Let's see. It has been known for a while that James Cameron is going to be involved in producing a new entry in the series. Now that we know that this film is apparently just...
So many of the chats, whenever we bring up a new sequel or a new thing, it's just, no!
No! There's nothing sacred.
Okay. Terminator will be ignoring the previous established chronology, retconning that Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines ever happened. But wouldn't this also affect the other films? Well, we don't even know for sure. Here's what we do know. Terminator is reportedly being directed by Deadpool's Tim Miller, produced by Cameron, and will star Gabriel Luna as a new Terminator of some sort. Also in the cast will be Mackenzie Davis and Diego Boneta, in addition to the heavy hitters Schwarzenegger and Hamilton. And the movie will be, is currently pegged for November 22nd, 2019. So, yes, is nothing sacred anymore.
Ooh. Yeah,
I know.
that's going to make it very confusing because I still haven't finished the Terminator series
Yeah, you still haven't done Salvation yet, or
or
Genesis, or the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I was about to ask, what about the Sarah Connor Chronicles? You know,
No.
because
No, that was quick.
Just no.
just no. Is that in no, you haven't watched any of it, or no, you refuse to review it? We're talking about it.
Why can't we have both?
Well, I mean, I'm sure. Well, if anybody who knows a lot about Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles, Jashikins will probably know a ton about that. She does just tons of discussion about that series in her blog, so that'd be fun. But yeah, I have seen bits and pieces of the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and it's okay, I guess. It's actually pretty interesting. They have a new Terminator, and it's in the form of a woman, and very similar to the TX. And basically, she befriends Connor and John and Sarah. And I think in the series they also introduced that Kyle Reese had a brother, and they become friends with him. And
Right.
yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff that's in there, but yeah, the show never finished its story because it was canceled.
That's going to make it very easy to tell where it fits in the timeline.
I think let's see, it aired in 07 or something like that, and I remember hearing like some people said it again was canceled because of low ratings, but I also heard that it was canceled either during or leading up to the infamous what was it, the writers strike, the Writers Guild strike in LA during that time period.
Yeah, that was
'Cause
2000. Yeah, that was like around 2007, 2008.
Right, which was around that time, and a lot of shows suffered because of that, and a lot of shows were canceled because of that, just as they were getting started. Not because the shows were bad. In fact, some people said a lot of really good shows never got the chance to really go very far or have reach their full potential because the writer's strike fucked everything over.
Yeah.
Oh boy. The $5 super chat.
What?
How do you guys feel about the new Predator movie coming?
How much more do we have to get before that 40-minute rant? Because I just want to make sure that we'll actually get the news done, and I won't just bogart the rest of the time.
We've got we've got less than a half hour left.
Okay, so yeah, we have 3 more articles to cover, and then you can rant all you want.
Okay.
So let's get into some YouTube news.
Ish.
Because we gotta.
Yeah, because we gotta. So, let's discuss about, according to what YouTube says, about how they're going to clean up their act. And Decker, you actually showed me something really interesting right before we started recording, but we'll bring that up in just a minute. So, according to this article from Bloomberg, there is an entire video discussing about how will they clean up their act. And you can just scroll down and you can just watch it for yourself. I'm not going to get into it, but it's actually kind of interesting. So, according to Lucas Shaw, he basically created a video about how YouTube plans on cleaning up their act. Sources from Bloomberg, which is this website right here. And we did watch the video, and they do bring up a whole bunch of, basically like a whole bunch of steps about what YouTube is doing wrong. About basically everything that we've talked about over the past couple of months regarding about like left wing and right wing videos, propaganda, and talking about like fake news and all that stuff. And
This is YouTube within YouTube within YouTube right now.
yeah, exactly. Oh wait, oops, I forgot to turn it off. Hold on. There we go. I'm so sorry, everybody. I didn't mean to give you YouTubeception.
It's okay.
Okay, so yeah, basically everything that we've talked about, and then apparently at the end they didn't really give a solution about how YouTube was going to clean up their act.
Right.
They didn't say anything. And then Decker, you even told me like what was it, 4 hours later, the same
like
guy
4.5 hours later.
Yeah, 4.5 hours later, that guy actually uploaded a very similar art. He pretty much uploaded the same article, but he just changed it. So the original article was how will YouTube clean up their act, and now with the same video, the guy uploaded it again called Lucas Shaw's on YouTube Troubles. YouTube had a bad year, well, except for its finances. Lucas Shaw explains how the company's PR nightmares and its continued growth are inexorably linked. So he basically just gives the exact same video less than 4 hours later. Which is okay. I mean, I understand that you want to you have people watch your videos and try to get notoriety, and I mean, I don't blame you, but the fact that you are posting your video and then you upload it again 4 hours later under a different title, it's what?
Yeah,
a little confusing, to say the
it's-
least. But at least the second title actually seemed to make a little more sense because the video was not actually offering any solutions.
No. Even though they said that they were in the first one, but in the second one they were like, I said that I was going to mention that, but I'm not going to, so I'm going to give you the correct title and description.
Yeah, Akan says, isn't that clickbait?
Yes. Yes, it is clickbait.
At least the first upload, yes, the title was clickbaity because it said it was something that it wasn't. The second upload, the title was less clickbaity, but the first video still exists, and the second one was 4.5 hours later on the same site with the same tags.
Yeah.
It's the same exact video, frame to frame.
Oh my god. But
Okay.
yeah, let's continue with the next bit of news right before we listen to Decker rant.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into more movie news. So you know how we talked about The Conjuring, about how some of the people involved with The Conjuring were going to be working on some other movies? Well, there was a prequel to The Conjuring called Annabelle, and apparently, from what I've seen in this other announcement from CinemaCon, and a third Annabelle horror movie will be in the works by New Line Cinema. And the movie will be coming out on July 3rd, 2019. Gary Dauberman, who had written scripts for 2 Demon Doll movies, will make his directorial debut on this Annabelle project. James Wan Atomic Monsters and the Peter Safran Company will produce the project. The 4 movies in the Conjuring universe, which included the 2 Annabelle titles, have generated more than $1.1 billion, which is a lot of money considering that it's a movie about a doll. So yeah, there's going to be a third Annabelle movie, which I've never seen Annabelle before. Have you guys seen it?
Unfortunately, no, but it is making me think that I'm going to get a whole lot more comments telling me to review Puppet Master.
Yeah, so we have an announcement about a doll movie that is getting a sequel, and then they're saying like, oh, Decker, can you talk about this other movie based off of puppets? Yeah.
I could probably do like the entirety of 2019 and nothing but doll movies.
Oh my god, the year of demonic dolls.
Get the rest of the summer of Puppet Master. Well, actually, probably do the summer of summer of Child's Play, but I do like a Puppet Master series, do the Annabelle, all kinds of creepy dolls.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Except for when I lose like 60% of my subscriber base by the end of the year.
Yeah,
Nothing
pretty
but
much.
dolls all year long.
All about the dolls.
All about the dolls. Valley of the Dolls.
Valley of the Dolls, yes. Let's see. That cult dude says, Puppet Master, Decker, that's 12 plus movies. Take your time.
Well, he did the Summer of Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah. That's true.
God.
Flashbacks.
PTSD.
Internet reviewer PTSD.
Yes. The spring of Puppet Master, says Aken. Patrick Johnson says the year of the Uncanny Valley.
Okay, so as a last bit of news before we jump into the giant rant, James Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah. So one more bit of news. So yeah, James Cameron. Let's talk about him again because it's been like over 5 minutes since we talked about him. So even though that James Cameron is working on a second, not a second. I mean, a sequel to Terminator 2. He's also going to be involved in a documentary, a 6-part documentary discussing about the humble roots of sci-fi movies, going all the way back from the 50s to today. And let's see, right here, the 6-part documentary that debuts on U.S. cable network AMC on Monday. Cameron explores the B movies of the 50s, space and alien films of the 60s, and post-apocalyptic thrillers of the 70s. While many are considered classics, including Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey from 1968, Cameron said Hollywood executives at the time showed little interest in the genre that rarely yielded big office returns. And there's a bunch of other people who are going to be involved in the 6-part documentary series. I think Spielberg's going to be in it, and Guillermo del Toro. So yeah, if any of you guys are interested in watching it, then I think it will be airing this coming Monday. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Sam says James Cameron needs to just fucking get Avatar 2 done. I have waited long enough, damn it. I think I saw it said that Avatar 2 is slated for 2020 and Avatar 3 2021.
I think so, yeah. You know how James Cameron is. Like, he wants to wait until the best of technology comes out, and then he can start working on his movies.
He's going to have to wait for medical nanotechnology soon enough.
Right.
Just to keep him going long enough to get to the next technology to make the movies.
Yes, exactly. All right, Decker. Time for the rant. Okay, everybody. Bunker down. So this is the biggest bit of news that was announced at CinemaCon. So, all right, here, let me see if I can find it because, oh God. All right.
Please let it be lost forever, please.
No, it's not. I found it.
Oh, wait, should I be reading it off?
Yeah, you could read it off. I'll give you the link. Hold on.
I'm just going to say, Decker, I got to say, you have 18 minutes, so go now.
18 minutes. I can keep going as long as I want.
All right, go ahead, Decker.
Okay, whoa, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, geez. Well, in that case, here we are.
Yeah, okay.
The Predator debuts at CinemaCon. Shane Black introduces genetically modified aliens and badass footage. Oh, boy.
And they added a cute kid to the cast.
Yay! Fun for the whole family.
This boy, right here. What is that? What is that? What is he doing in a Predator movie? Oh, there's also Olivia Munn.
Yes.
But I can accept her before I can accept that. Anyway. 20th Century Fox has been keeping Shane Black's The Predator under lock and key for a studio tentpole and franchise sequel that's set for release in almost 4 months. It's a bit unusual and extremely enticing that the studio has yet to make any footage or movie stills available to the public. Fortunately, Fox pulled back the curtain on The Predator during its CinemaCon presentation. The Predator is set between 1990's Predator 2 and 2010's Predators. The alien creatures have managed to upgrade themselves with the DNA from other species, because that was important, making them stronger, smarter, and deadlier than predators we've seen before, yet somehow we didn't see them afterwards. The story kicks in when a young boy, Jacob Tremblay, accidentally triggers the Predator's return to Earth. Whoops-a-doodle! A ragtag crew of soldiers and scientists, played by Boyd Holbrook, Olivia Munn, Sterling K. Brown, Keegan-Michael Kay, and Trevante Rhodes, are tasked with saving the human race. Because somehow predators want to kill us all now. The presentation included the first trailer of the film, which press called badass and full of blood and guns, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The footage begins with Tremblay's young boy on Halloween playing with a toy box that has a toy alien ship inside of it. It turns out that the toy is controlling a real alien spaceship, similar to the way Anne Hathaway controlled a monster in Colossal. Ooh, connections. The vessel ends up crash landing on Earth and releasing tons of predators, because they're monsters, right?
Theoretically.
An interrogation room featuring Boyd Holbrook, who is playing a military sniper. It turns out Holbrook is the father of the boy we saw earlier. Footage of soldiers battling predators and predator violently, holding one by the neck, cut through Holbrook's interrogation narration. Olivia Munn's scientist makes a big impression during the trailer. Her character is seen expertly handling a gun. When Sterling K. Brown's character asks, "You're pretty handy with a gun, where'd you learn?" Munn replies, "America." The Predator opens nationwide September 24th. Check out our first reactions below, where they're all just praising, like, "Oh my god, it looks smart." It looks fucking smart here.
Oh my god.
Jeez, that's the only screen we got. It's just the logo there. And it was like, oh, she said, oh yeah, she pushes them beyond her and moves to, yeah. They all of them love it. It seems they all love this. They love this. Lovely screen share off. Please, no, not cameraman. Oh god, what? Screen share off. Okay, what am I doing? Okay,
there you go.
All right.
You know, maybe we should have Decker just read the articles from now on.
Dear God, do I have to even cover just how much is wrong there?
No, but you're gonna do it anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah, just fire away. We all know it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like the first time in a Predator movie there has been a kid. The only other time, kinda, sorta, is with Alien vs. Predator Requiem, where you have the kid that gets killed by the facehugger and the other kid who's a fucking idiot who doesn't understand that when daddy's being ripped apart by a monster in front of you, that's a good reason to leave his ass. He's not going to make it. So in every other Predator movie, including the first AVP, you know, Predator 1 and 2, and Predators, no kids. Not one. Now we have one that is absolutely central to the plot, like some motherfucking Jurassic Park character. What are you doing here? I'm looking for dinosaurs. Oh, too bad. We got lizard people from another planet, and they're here to take your skin. Because evidently you're a badass now, and they want to kill everybody, even though they'd never fucking touch you before. I don't know what you did with that box, but they didn't like it. What is with the fucking lament configure fucking Rubik's with the fucking I've got the lament configuration with the last Starfighter here controlling the Predator ship. Why did they have it set up that way? Who would design a ship this way? They're an advanced race. They improved their genetics for some strange reason, even though they've got all the fucking technology in the world to not have to bother doing that. But still, they felt, you know what? We can improve our genetics. I mean, it's hard to turn that off to equalize ourselves with our prey when it comes down to the gloves are off, but why not? Fuck it. Just shoot up with this shit. And now we can fucking do all kinds of crazy shit. But, the box. The box is way over there. Why have any kind of safety precautions at all in case someone's using the box and it's going to crash us? Even though we're in the ship, we shouldn't actually be able to control the ship while we're in the ship. You need the box for that.
Don't hurt yourself, Decker.
Too late. Too late. Oh, James May says that sounds like the original script for Predators. I can see why it's not one they used. I'm just like...
Speaking of which, James Works also said, what about that one kid in Predator 2 where he says to the Predator, "Want some candy?"
Well, he wasn't a major kid. He was a little side character. It's not like there's kids can't exist in the world of Predator, but it's the kid wasn't really a driving plot point. Everything about him could have been deleted. He helped make the Predator creepier. Because kids are fucking creepy. So the Predator imitating a kid is really fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, quick shut down Decker before his brain turns to mush.
Mush.
Oh, geez, but oh god. I mean, I looked up some other articles to try and corroborate this because I'm like, this is insane. No, and every other article I found about it says this sounds terrible, guys. But interestingly enough, they had more information that made it actually sound better. Like evidently, the kid with the box that he's fucking playing with, and he crashes the Predator ship into the world and releases it on the fucking world like they're a bunch of fucking gene stealers or some shit. Evidently, that box was with a bunch of other Predator shit that his sniper father brought from another previous crash and was like, hey, I'll just leave this with my kid who doesn't know how to fucking leave things alone. This sounds like a good idea. It's probably top secret government shit here. Kid doesn't know how to keep his hands to himself. Oh, well, just fucking destroy the world now. Oh.
Wow.
Feel better, Decker?
A little. I'm glad I got that off my chest, but it's still very much in there. It's so frustrating to see that. It's like, oh my god, here's the first stuff we've shown you. We've got 4 months to go. We can't change anything. I'm like, oh yes, you can. You can scrap the whole thing and start again. Just no. Oh Jesus.
Oh my god. Yeah. I would be surprised if they actually did decide to rewrite the whole thing, and maybe they'll delay a movie for about a year, but it seems like they're going for it, and apparently for a lot of the critics, they claim that it's going to be amazing, but then the fans are saying like, no, this is like the worst thing ever.
Don't miss out too much. Can't have that glorious hair falling out, can we? Oh. Yes, son, play with that weird unknown alien object that could very well kill you. Yeah, it's like the Predator's wrist shit was with the stuff that he was evidently playing with too. So that's got the fucking big fucking spikes that come out of it. What's the fucking kid? Movie's over and everyone survives except him. Good. Oh.
That would justify it. Oh my god. Yeah.
And Master Lord's asking, why is it so hard to write a good Predator movie? Actually, he says a goof, but I think he meant good because this is a goof Predator.
Yeah, this is a goof Predator movie.
Yeah, maybe they should hire Decker to write it.
I could make a fucking, the Predator movie. I want to make an AVP movie personally. I don't know about a direct Predator movie, but I could make a pretty good AVP movie. Because I'm thinking, like, what if you had the humans at a point in time where they actually did have some captured xenomorphs that didn't break out instantly? Think of it like Resurrection, except instead of them breaking out in 20 minutes and killing everyone, they actually kept them long enough to do some shit. And they were fucking building up their own little xeno army and stuff. And actually, they were very hard to control. Almost like you couldn't, but they still had hope. Like, hey, let's keep these experiments going. Build a big fucking amount of these guys.
AVP, the setting is like Jurassic Park. Like the xenomorph, it's not a public park like an amusement park, but it's a hunting ground. It's like they keep xenomorphs in this contained environment, and they pay hunters like mercs and whatever to come in and hunt xenomorphs for.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it like that, but that's an interesting angle too. I was thinking more like it's just a private sort of pen from from Weyland-Yutani, and they're building up their little bioweapon army and doing experiments and shit.
Oh, they can still have experiments and shit.
Quite far in the process, shit goes wrong, and shit goes very wrong when it goes wrong at that point. And then you got to bring in the armies to fucking cull this shit. So you got humans and xenomorphs going at each other, and you got some crazy fucking xenomorphs experimenting on xenomorphs and shit, fucking rhino xenomorphs and all crazy shit like that. And then you got the fucking predators. They're like, hey, here's some conflict going down. I'm attracted to this shit. I'd like to get in on this hunt. Boom, they go down on that hunt, and you follow some very specific characters. You follow like a predator that got like dishonored and shit, and he's got to like fight for his own kind of honor and stuff, and he's got to specifically lower his own. He can't just shoulder blast everything. He's got to get his honor back and go about this solo. But you also got like the predator fucking war parties coming in and shit because of that dishonor and shit, and they're gonna fucking kill the shit out of all this shit. And then you got the human group, of course, and then you got like a specific xenomorph that goes through and all the kind of shit they're doing and all the shit they're breaking through, all the shit they're growing and they're mutating, and they get to fucking Praetorian stage.
Yeah, I would agree. That's
I
very
still don't know
elaborate.
exactly how it's all going to fit together, but that's an idea.
Very elaborate idea. Very elaborate. Matthew Olstein says, "Can the predator be a female?"
Yes.
Sure, why not?
That could be interesting. It'd be a very easy way to differentiate them from any other predator running around.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about in the last live stream
We'll have
about.
to have some female predators there anyway with the predator war parties.
Sure.
Yeah.
Draco the Dark Prince says, "Predator Concrete Jungle featured a dishonored predator getting his honor back."
I didn't know that, actually. I've been told over and over again to play Predator Concrete Jungle, but I didn't know that that was what the hook was.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I will get my honor back. I will capture the Avatar. Or in this case, I will...
Akan is asking, are female predators a thing in the lore? And they have been shown in comics, but they've been shown two different ways. It's not really established as canon what a female predator is. Female predators exist, yes, in the stories and the novels and stuff, but are they bigger than male predators? Like they're lizard-style kind of bodies, so they're larger and actually more buff? Or is it more of a marketable to human audiences where they are slender and smexy but have giant fuck you faces?
Wow.
That's the question. We don't know quite yet.
I actually prefer the former.
The mega buff predator ladies?
Sure, why not? If we're gonna do a Predator movie that's good, then let's see if we can actually do it in a way that's very threatening. Like mega buff Predator, and then they find out, oh, it's a female, she's kicking the crap out of us.
Like, it could be kind of a praying mantis kind of thing, where female predators are the larger of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be an interesting concept, because especially if it's not until it's like you just introduce a hulking predator. There's this massive fucking monstrously sized predator, and then it's like later on, like after having to deal with it for like a good 35 minutes of movie time, that's after that point they realize, oh, that's the female of the species.
Samus is a woman.
Yeah.
So, like some of the things here, oh, those are her kids. That's maternal. That's mama.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she won't leave us alone. And once it's dead.
The Terror of Death gives us another $5, saying, "Hey Decker, could you please remake your science behind the Xenomorph and Predator video?"
I'm not sure about remaking them. I really want to do an expanded Xenomorph biology, though, with the Prometheus and Alien Covenant biology. Because that gets a little crazy, but it supposedly has come all together again.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as for Predator, we're going to have to wait on that when the movie comes out. That way we can discuss about the lore, about how the kid goes all saint elsewhere in trying to bring the Predators into our world.
Basura Lord says, Big Mama.
Big Mama. Kind of reminds me of Eva's nickname for Metal Gear Solid 4. I am Big Mama. Anyway, Matthew Olstein says, "She kicked the crap out of me. I want a female predator should look slimmer than a regular predator, like a female weightlifter to a male body weightlifter." So essentially the latter.
Yeah, the more slender, smexy, marketable to the general audience, where it's like, I'm watching the female predator because I want to see her bend over. Look at how she bends down there to grab that guy's spine and rip it out of his back.
Yes, mix that with the scene from Legally Blonde. You're gonna bend and snap. You're gonna snap off his fucking spine into pieces.
The entity's asking, what if the kid intentionally did it? Illuminati confirmed.
Must blame the Illuminati. Of course we do.
And Chris Chris is asking thoughts on Venom.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because another thing that was featured on CinemaCon was the Venom
Right.
trailer.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen anything but the picture that everyone's seen and a GIF where someone actually posted googly eyes over the Predator's eyes as a kid. But it looks nice. I'm looking at that like I could get behind this. It looks interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scott Duncan says Predator are really the kids of Cthulhu.
So the ladies work both ways. It just drives you mad trying to figure out. You can't go on a blind date with a Predator lady. You just...
Terror Death gives us another $5 saying, does anybody remember the Xenomorph android from the comics?
Didn't read the comic, but I did read enough about the comic that I saw a little blurb about them smoking their cigars. They were a xenomorph synthetic that had a synthetic sort of a xenomorph smell to them, so they could actually move around the hive without being attacked.
Okay. Yeah, so...
It says his name was Jerry.
Name was Jerry.
I believe
Yeah, that's pretty much it for all of the news reports. Like, it's been a wild ride, especially since the announcement of all the stuff coming up for CinemaCon. So, yeah, we're reaching about the 2-hour mark, so I think we can start wrapping things up.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll go first. So, I got the next review is already filmed, and I should have that out without it getting any later, because I'm already partially edited on that. Still got some stuff on Patreon to do, but I'm feeling good because I got also a good travel vlog from Los Angeles as well that I got to edit together. So that should be up late next week. And I've been playing a bit of Dad of War.
Yes, thank you.
As it were, and on the gaming channel, and I've been enjoying that. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's like every Sony exclusive ever," and there are things that it's changed from the God of War formula that are like pretty much Uncharted, Last of Us. You got the kid following around. There's a lot of things with that, but there is enough of God of War left in there, and I really do enjoy the combat. I also am playing it on way too high of a difficulty, and I refuse to turn it down. Refuse. I'm going to get through this. Ow,
Gotta get good. Gotta get good. What do you got, Creepy?
I am still trying to get the Daria retrospective season 3 video uploaded. I do not know why, but Dailymotion and Vimeo, neither one would accept it. And I'm still having trouble putting it on YouTube right now, but I'm going to be working on that. I also have a Batman. The next review is Batman, the animated series, going back to that.
Okay. Let's see. I just posted like a few hours ago, right before doing this live stream. I just posted up the newest episode of my podcast discussing about the Sega Genesis. The 30th anniversary of the console will be coming up this coming October, but I'm actually saving up something else for that month, so I decided to do it early. So, yeah, if you're interested in listening to our discussions of the Sega games and the console itself and the marketing and all that, then yeah, you can go check out my channel and listen. Us talking about it for an hour and 20-something minutes.
Okay, then. So, thank you all for joining us. I've been Dr. Shado.
I have been that long-haired creepy guy.
And I've been Patricia Miranda.
And this has been Live and Wired and shall now forever be known as pre-recorded over Wi-Fi. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.